Hey, Purple People podcast fans, welcome to this week's show. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined by Adam Carlson.
How's it going?
Good, pretty good, man. Kyle West is here as well. We got the whole crew this week. What's up, sir?
Hey, I am ready to talk about Vikings football during this awesomely exciting bye week where not much has happened.
Not at all.
I don't know if I'm okay with that or if I was expecting more. I don't know. It could have went a lot of ways, and it went the way of not much.
That seems to be the theme of this team, especially this year. You think they're going to do one thing, and they don't do that thing whatsoever. So that's really crazy. We'll talk about some rumors that were going around today on this week's show.
Right on.
This is episode number 412, the Bye Who Shagged Me. That's my terrible name for this week.
I do want to say I had nothing to do with that name.
No, he had nothing to do with it. It would have been a lot better. We'll talk about the Yannick Ngakoue trade and his short-lived time in Minnesota. And, yeah, we'll preview the Green Bay game coming up because they're going to go to Lambeau this weekend. Fun times. But, let's start out with that trade. The Baltimore Ravens traded for Yannick Ngakoue. The Vikings, they didn't really win this trade. I don't know. Maybe this was just a sign. And I know you guys have talked about it in the chat. They kind of knew Danielle Hunter wasn't coming back, so it was kind of no point. And this really shed some light that they probably didn't have the intention of keeping him around past this year. Maybe if Hunter would have came back, possibly, maybe, question mark. But anyways, the Ravens sent a 2021 third-round pick and a 2022 conditional fifth-round pick. The Vikings originally traded away a second for him. So they ended up getting a little worse. Trade back.
There's a lot to unpack with this one. I don't know who wants to go first. Adam, what's your thoughts?
Honestly, I think Ngakoue was one of those players that was part of the rumored highly disappointed group in the locker room when the Vikings, when that was going around with the Vikings. And I think he came to Minnesota to chase a ring. And I think when he saw there was no chance of getting a ring, I think he wanted to hit the highway. I think this is a trade that was likely initiated from Ngakoue's angle to try to go somewhere where he could win. And he wasn't happy in Minnesota, didn't want to be there. And I think Minnesota cut their ties, got what they could for him, tried to make up what they could, couldn't get everything they gave. And honestly, let's take a look at the bigger picture here. If Ngakoue left in free agency after this year, Minnesota gets nothing for him, pays his entire salary, and it's just an absolute mess. And at this point, Minnesota's kind of thinking, hey, maybe we should try to look forward to the future because just letting him walk is no good. Since we pushed all our chips all in on this season and we ended up being without so many of our former Pro Bowl defensive players and the defense just ain't looking good, and Kirk Cousins is leading the NFL in interceptions, and it's just a mess of a season that's just absolutely terrible. So I think them trying to recoup what they could in picks to try to make some sort of push to the future makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I think Ngakoue is going to be a lot happier somewhere where he can contend for a championship, and Minnesota just isn't that place this year.
Right on. I think so. You look at the history of Mike Zimmer, the way he kind of leads the team, and they have been known to take a flyer on a player that they're going to rent for a single season to try to compete with and win with now. So I think that when they traded for Yannick Ngakoue, it was along the same lines of like a Shelton Richardson, where we knew we were going to have him for one season. We're going to try to make that push.
Good point.
We're going to try to make that push and win with him. So it made sense when they initially made the trade for him with Jacksonville. I think that when a combination of things, when it became apparent that we're not making a playoff push this year, and to your point, Adam, if he was not happy, then you have to recoup what you can from him now, because that 1 year flyer no longer makes sense to retain him. So I do agree. It wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but it does make sense that they were going to try to flip him and get something to recoup that investment out of him so that he wasn't just leaving in free agency. Because even best case scenario, if the Vikings would have made the playoffs, I don't think that they were going to re-sign him in 2022. I think that, like a Shelton Richardson, they were going to let him walk in free agency. That's the risk reward that came with that trade, and it just didn't quite work out for him. I don't
Now,
think.
the NFL trade deadline is November 3rd.
Right.
So we could expect to see some other Vikings players hit the trade block, maybe be dealt. And there are some players that are in a similar situation.
I wanted to jump in with that just a little bit because the more I thought about it when I heard it, I was kind of shocked, and then it made sense, like you guys had told about. He's from Maryland. He's pairing up with former Jaguars teammate Calais Campbell. And the rich get richer in this trade, right? Baltimore's going to make a Super Bowl run at some point because, they're going to – every year – that's not going to be like the Patriots, in my opinion. You're going to see the Chiefs in the postseason, probably deep. But at some point, I had faith in John Harbaugh to get them over that hump to win a game, and they're going to be fighting for a Super Bowl. And then they have Matthew Judon on the other side at defensive end. Their defense is stacked. But to Kyle's point, I'm looking here, and it says you remember he took a cut, as you guys don't remember, 8 weeks ago. Originally, the franchise tag tender was 17.8, so he took a pretty decent pay cut at $12 million to come to the Vikings. So your point was right there. How could they afford him, and with all these players that they want to keep extending and still have a chance to bring in some free agents because people are going to leave like they did going into this season? So, and just to point it out, we'll round out the Ngakoue stuff. It wasn't like he wasn't productive. 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 7 quarterback hits, and 12 tackles. I mean,
he was playing well.
He was playing great. I think he was playing as advertised. But if Adam's right, and it makes total sense, I didn't even think about that, is he's like, look, man, this was supposed to be some vaunted defense from like a defensive guru. This team sucks, and I want out. I mean, how could you blame him? I wouldn't blame him.
He left Jacksonville to better himself and get into a better situation.
Absolutely.
He wanted to win now. A lot of these players want to win now. And you can't fault him for that. So I understand why he would not be happy coming into Minnesota, walking into what he walked into this year.
Now, I could be way off base. Maybe he was absolutely fine working, putting in his grind, trying to get the team over the hump. But honestly, I just don't see it.
No, I don't think that he's a defensive leader by any means. I think that I think he'll give you production, and I think he'll do his job. And I think that's solid from what you want. I think he's a nice replacement from where Everson Griffin used to be. But he's not better than Danielle Hunter. We all know that. I think they would have been a nice pair together. But it all in all, like the initial pissed offness that we had about this, or at least I had about this, as the dust settled and nothing happened over the last 4 or 5 days, and we were just expecting to wake up to that ESPN banner on your phone and seeing like Harrison Smith is gone or whoever. We haven't seen that now. It's starting to make sense when we don't have that knee-jerk reaction. At least for me, that's how I feel.
I still think there's time. There could be some more trades coming.
Sure.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if you guys want to jump into that topic yet or what.
Absolutely.
So from what I heard, I had read that the players that you would think Minnesota would kind of want to move on from, the Kyle Rudolphs of the world, have not garnered any interest from the other teams in the NFL. That they're looking for our young guys. They're looking for our Irv Smith. They want him. They don't want Kyle Rudolph. They want Irv Smith. Minnesota is not in enough of a rebuild, and why would you? That you would give up your young players and keep the old guard in the Kyle Rudolphs on this team. So I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to say, yeah, let's go ahead and trade Rudolph and let's get what we can. But if the teams aren't interested, I think that's why you're not seeing a lot of movement from the Vikings on that front.
Well, there are some trades out there that could make a lot of sense. You could see the Eagles try to get an offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You could see a safety needing team to go in and try to get Anthony Harris. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Harris should be at the top of the list of players to trade for the Vikings right now.
Oh, totally. I'm 100% okay at this point with them moving on from Anthony Harris for virtually anything they can get for him.
Because he'll be gone this offseason. They can't afford to re-sign him.
Let's add that footnote in. None of us at the show we don't have this grudge against Anthony Harris. If you're not understanding that,
no, he's one heck of a player.
He's a hell of a player. I personally love the hell out of him and his story. Coming from where he came from, but they can't afford the guy. And when you franchise tag and you're married to this quarterback, which we're going to talk about the quarterback, we have to, but. It's either him or Harrison Smith, and I'm sorry, but I still think there is some tread left on the tire of Harrison Smith. Now, would I be pissed if the Vikings got good value for him? No. I wouldn't be pissed if they got value for any player, especially after this season, but let's make it real. They weren't going to keep Anthony Harris.
Vikings are trying to dig themselves out of salary cap hell right now, and they're not going to make Anthony Harris the highest paid safety in the league.
No.
And they're not going to make Danielle Hunter the highest paid defensive end in the league at the same time, on top of Kirk Cousins and retaining other players, pieces, and parts of the team. Like, you can't do that. You just financially can't do all of that.
Andrew, I'll tell you what happened. We have no front seven help at all, and now he's having to do so he's more human this year. That's what happened. He's not playing bad.
Well, the corner situation is just falling apart too in that secondary.
Terrible. Cameron Dantzler is going to be out Sunday, by the way, guys. He's on the COVID list, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, I
saw that.
When you look at Eli Apple,
Hugh's not practicing either.
You look at Eli Apple, who's terrible. Eli Apple is terrible, and as a Vikings fan, you go, well, maybe he might be an upgrade. He might be an upgrade. Like.
It's like Dumb and Dumber, pick him up. Let's go.
Pick him up.
Let's go, man. I mean, let's be real. If it's just a rental, it can't be any worse. I mean, God, we're gonna have to sign guys off the street. George Iloka's done for the year. They have no safety depth. They signed a guy from Cincinnati, maybe San Francisco.
Arizona.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
And that's cool. That's depth, but he's not a starter. God forbid one of the starters go down. So this really shows you, and I think Philadelphia is a shining example too. Now, of course, they have a ring and a trophy to show for it, but these Super Bowl windows close stupid fast on these teams.
Oh, yeah,
stupid fast. Because 3 years ago, this team they were a tough out for anybody, and good God, they look like a shell of themselves now.
I mean, I don't think they're going to admit it publicly, but trading Yannick Ngakoue is kind of a sign of admission that we want to win games, but we're also looking for the future already. Like, let's bring expectations down to where they actually are at this point.
Well, too, when you look at the situation, Mike Zimmer got really stuck in one heck of a pickle. The team that he got given by Rick Spielman for this season to try to work with is it's a challenge. He's got to develop all these corners. He's got to work with safeties with no depth. There were 2 safeties on the roster when the season started. 2.
That's absurd.
His star pass rusher was questionable week to week when that should have been dealt with a long time ago during the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know. I don't know how Mike Zimmer's doing what he's doing with what he's doing. And then to see the fans attack him for not being able to get wins for what he's got. Come on.
Right. And you look at the history to piggyback on that, because we've been up and down, especially I'll be the first to call myself out for emotions for this team. But I think if we had to point the finger, it's got to be more at Rick Spielman than Mike Zimmer. And we look at the quality of Mike Zimmer. We'll take out his best season and take out his worst season so far, which is going to be this year.
You're right.
He's a 9-7, 10-6 coach, and that's not terrible. It's enough to get you a wild card, especially in the 7-team format. But he's had some bright moments. There's been some games that are stinkers. There's at least one a year where you're like, man, this team was flat today. But there's also that one win every season where you're like, we had no business winning that game. I love this team.
Right.
And he's pretty good about that. And I think I like from what I hear, the way that he coaches the players, and I like the way that he is a no BS guy. I don't like those guys that come in and give you that automated BS that just follows, the premeditated stuff they already
look at the tape.
Oh yeah, no. we overcame some adversity today. Like, I'm tired of hearing that word. But, yeah, I'm with you, Adam. I don't think this is necessarily all on Mike Zimmer. Now he has a say in it, sure, but he got given a shit sandwich and told to eat it, and it doesn't taste good right now. And the record shows, and it's only going to get worse. It's going to get worse this season. They got a rough stretch ahead.
And it gets hard when you see Xavier Rhodes out there playing his tail off and getting praised for moving to being a corner in a zone defense. Cat, don't push my beverage off the counter. Cats love doing that stuff. But anyway, yeah, when you see the former Vikings and other teams the Vikings have traded with having success, it hurts.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the Bears near the top of the NFC North, and you got former Vikings players on Twitter mocking Minnesota because they signed with Detroit, and everyone said, get ready to lose in Detroit.
Yeah, I don't really take much stock in that because it's J-Ron Curse, and I like him at special teams. But I mean, if you're going to be a special team all-star, you might as well just be a badass punter or a kicker. Don't talk to me because you're a good gunner. Nobody's going to remember you, dude.
Even Lions fans are like, dude, you're sitting on the bench.
Well, that's a good segue just to talk about for half a second. Everson Griffin, if you guys didn't hear already, he signed with the Lions. And congrats to him for finding another place to take a shot.
Congrats to him for getting out of the NFC East.
Yeah, and out of that shit sandwich. Hey, at least we're not the NFC East, right? We would be in contention for that division right now at 25. So keep that in mind. But yeah, he gets the team up with Adrian Peterson over there, which is kind of cool.
I know a lot of fans wanted Everson back in Minnesota, and of course, I mean, just from like a fan, I love Everson Griffin.
Absolutely,
I love to have him back on the team. I just don't think with where the season is at and where they're probably headed, it doesn't make sense to give up any draft capital, even if it's what do you go for? Was it a 6 or a 7?
I want to say 6.
A 6? Even
and
if it's a 6,
$3 million on the contract.
Yeah, I just don't see the point. I know that sucks because you want to win as many games as you want to win, but I just don't see the point.
But I'm all in on watching these young defensive ends develop because you know what? Minnesota can draft and develop defensive ends.
Yeah, they sure can. If there's one thing they're good at, they can find some talent.
That's why I'm not for throwing draft picks and money at that position. Mm-hmm. Now, can Minnesota draft a quarterback? Can they consistently draft wide receivers?
No.
Have they struggled with corners? All those are yes, but it's. I want to see this money and these picks allocated to places that can really help the team. If the team needs a guard, stop drafting offensive tackles.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah.
That's a fair criticism of Rick Spielman. Sometimes I think they get a little too cute in thinking like, oh, well, we'll draft this player on the offensive line and all the positions are the same. So if he plays guard, he can play tackle. And if he plays tackle, he can play center. And we'll just be super versatile. And that doesn't really seem to work out for them.
That is something the Vikings teams of old really loved, was drafting players that could work certain spots. And that can work for some players. But other spots, you want that person that is an absolute specialist. I want Danielle Hunter to be a pass rush specialist. I don't want him dropping back in coverage.
Oh, God, no.
I don't want that.
I know Anthony Barr is an outside linebacker, and they're different positions, but anytime I hear about a big guy like that going into coverage, I think about the Rams game from like 3 years ago, and I just I have PTSD from it. I'm like, no.
Teams passed on Eric Kendricks because of his size, and then he comes out, and he can do it all.
Yeah.
He can blitz, he can run support, he can drop back into coverage. He can do it all. So why have a player that should be rushing the passer and containing the edge? Why have that guy drop back into coverage when you've got this linebacker? And Mike Zimmer knows this stuff. That's why he's able to take this team and do things with it. Now, the fact that he's stuck with, what has he got, just two Pro Bowlers left on his defense?
Oh.
Harrison Smith, who's the other one?
Eric Kendricks.
Eric Kendricks, correct. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's not good. not coming back from 2 seasons removed from the 2017 year where it's.
Now, don't forget the Vikings have already invested in and do have the rights to Michael Pierce.
Yeah,
so it's not like the Vikings don't have some answer on that defensive line.
That's a piece that, and again, we're not knocking him for holding out. That's totally fair. I understand that. I would have liked to have seen what this defense would look like right now with Michael Pierce in the middle on that line for them.
Me too, but I completely understand his situation with asthma and COVID and all that. I get it.
Yeah, no hard feelings, but you got to wonder. I think that would have been definite help.
Yeah, there were questions about that. There was a little rabbit hole I went down about the COVID stuff today relating to the NFL, and obviously I'm going to always promote this show because I love it so much. But Levitard was talking about it today, and they're arguing like, does Cam Newton suck because of the new team, or is it because he just got out of the COVID protocol? And it's funny. It's a funny little way to look at it. And it's like, you never really know because we don't have any information on this virus right now. That's crazy. What's up, Skull Prod? These are good comments you're making. Pearson Hunter will help. Honestly, though, for both of them to stay healthy, and just this season's already over with anyways. The Vikings have a 2% chance to make the playoffs right now. Just in case you guys want to know, 2%. We are the next to last team. The only one below us is the Falcons, and they beat us. So good luck with that.
The Jets are above Minnesota?
Well, for the NFC, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at that photo I sent you guys the other day. No, the Jets they're done.
I was going to ask because I was going to say if the Jets have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Vikings, I'm going to log off this podcast right now and go do something else.
I'll tell you how bad they are and we're not. They are so bad that the rumor mill is starting up that Trevor Lawrence will go back for his senior year at Clemson just to not play there. And I'm calling it now, and this is not a hot take. If he goes into the draft and they draft him, we will have another Eli Manning situation. There's no way if I'm that kid's agent, I let him go to that shitty.
I'm surprised more players don't do that. I'm surprised more top tier players are just not like, think
about it too. Think about it right now, Kyle. Think about how weird it was. You know how shocking that was that Eli Manning did that. It turned out pretty damn good.
It was pretty sick. I didn't care for that one bit.
No, in this day and age, there wouldn't be nearly as much backlash.
But I have not seen a franchise as mismanaged as the Jets. And I don't know, as long as I've watched football.
And Adam Gase still has a job. Why is he not fired? And here's another thing. We're going to shit all over the Jets in this podcast, in this episode. Look at Ryan Tannehill now. That was his coach in Miami. And he didn't. When I thought about Miami, Ryan Tannehill, I didn't think of anything special. Dude, he looks great in Tennessee. Now, granted, it's a whole new scenery. I get it.
Credit the Titans.
Sure.
Defense, run game makes your quarterback look good.
It's crazy when you protect a quarterback and give him a running back how good he can look. It's crazy.
What do you think Kirk Cousins would look like on that Titans team right now?
Segue of the day. Let's talk about it because I want to talk about how to get him the fuck out of Minnesota. That's how I want to. So I'm going to openly admit this because I would never try to steal someone's work. I'm not going to name them because I don't believe in doing that, especially if it's low-key. It's ESPN. You can go find that shit yourself. But there are other Viking podcasts out there, and they have talked about this. But we decided to wait to do this show because we don't do daily or multi-week shows. And honestly, there's not a lot to talk about. But if you go to overthecap.com, they wrote an article 10 days ago about how the Vikings can get rid of Kirk Cousins, and it is wonderful. Now, I personally believe, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts so I can not talk for 10 minutes straight, I think he's going to be on the team next year. That's just my personal opinion. I think if they do anything in the way of a new quarterback, it'll be they draft one since they'll have a high draft pick this year, and they'll let him develop, which is probably the smart thing to do. But you guys both agree Kirk Cousins is probably going to be on this team next year.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, he's going to be on the team, and he will be the starting quarterback next year. They're paying him too much money financially. They can't get out of it. Best case here is that we draft a young quarterback, and he sits underneath Cousins, and then in the following season we move on. Adam Thielen is not going to the Browns.
No, he's not.
Adam, do you want to discuss why?
It was funny. I don't even remember who it was now, but I think it was Tom Pelissero. I think he reached out to the Vikings about that rumor, and he said that they openly laughed at him for even mentioning the thought of trading Adam Thielen to the Browns. So, Yeah, that's something that's not even close.
Now, Skull Prod, I will tell you what we were talking about earlier in case you missed it, because I thought you might have joined a little bit later after we talked about it. What does make sense is the Brown needs safety help ridiculously. Andrew Sendejo is there, and he is awful, just terrible. So if they wanted to come in and swoop up Anthony Harris, possibility.
Sure.
But Adam Thielen's not going anywhere. I think literally they would go down and burn US Bank Stadium to the ground if they traded Adam Thielen. So I don't think that's going to happen. Plus, he's having a good year. Unless you're coming in with like 2 firsts for him, then maybe they would talk about it. But yeah, I would laugh too. But we're not giving her that guy. He's Mr. Minnesota. Are you kidding me? Ooh, third. It's good. I'd want more just to be greedy.
Conditional 7th.
I get that conditional 7th.
Cliff with the comment of the week. Way to exist, Vikings. Way to exist.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this. I highlighted some things here, and I just wanted to throw these out there because for you guys that have been on the Let's Poop on Kirk Cousins train like myself through this season, and rightfully so, I'm giving 50% of the blame. That offensive line, especially the interior, is not doing him any justice. But the new contract that he got in the offseason gave him $10 million raise in 2020 right now, guaranteed him $21 million for next year, and he was paid $30 million signing bonus. So, first of all, with just that sentence alone, or those 2 sentences, shout out to his agent. If he didn't gain 7 more clients after he got Kirk Cousins this deal, the world is wrong, because I would have signed. I would have hit that guy up immediately. But here's where it gets weird. The cost to cut him next year is $41 million, which is $10 million higher than the $31 million salary cap figure. It says the Vikings are already projected to be about $14 million over the cap after future signings that would push them to $24 million over, and that's next season. So figures will be cut left for 2022 if they cut Cousins this way. The Colts and possibly the Bears or 49ers make sense if you wanted to trade. I don't know. There's that Kyle Shanahan, like, weird love affair. The Bears look like really dog shit with Nick Foles. And the Colts, obviously, Phillip Rivers could retire at any moment because he's a dinosaur. But if a trade isn't possible, and this is the last one, if a trade isn't an option, they decide they could get out, eat the cost, and move on where there's probably one path. They could designate Cousins past June 1st, start of free agency. That would allow them to keep Cousins on the books at $31 million for the entire season next year and $10 million the next season. So that all sounds like crap. There's not really a win in that situation.
No.
I just don't think he hasn't played bad enough to like eat that much of the salary cap to be like, well, we're just done. Just get the hell out of here. Like, right. We don't have a backup plan. We're in salary cap hell right now. We're married to Kirk Cousins for the next couple seasons.
The best thing they can do next year, if you're asking me now, I think they're going to get a top 10 pick because this record is. I mean, they've got to go to New Orleans, to Tampa Bay. They got to go to Green Bay this week, to Chicago. They're not going to win more than 4 games, 5 games at the most, if that. Draft a quarterback early and draft. If you got to wait till the second round and get a quarterback, I'm cool with it. Like we said, Kirk is going to be your starter next year. Financially, it just makes no sense not to. Get an interior offensive lineman for the love of Christ. Do something there. Because nothing's going to work without protection. I mean, I think we can all agree on that, right? Hunter and Pierce will be back. Kind of, sort of.
Will Hunter be back?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a fair point to make.
Don't do that to me. I'm just assuming that it's going to happen.
Will he hold out if he doesn't get that raise? And I got to say, it is 100% ballsy to demand a raise when you're injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't this be the perfect time for this particular player and this particular season on this particular team to do that? Because
I suppose all you can do is say, hey, look at your record without me.
Oh. And especially, he'll say, look at the record of the team without me and look at the records I was setting before I got hurt.
If you're the Vikings, do you want to invest that much in a defensive end right now?
Yes. But you don't want him to know that.
That particular one,
fair.
Absolutely. Don't you hate that? You're trying to play hard to get, but really you're just too easy.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
Yeah, they were married to Cousins. I think the best thing to do, getting off the Cousins subject, is you're going to have to keep him around. So how do you make it work? And I'll empathize with it and agree with Kyle on that too. And I know Adam agrees with it too. He hasn't played Mark Sanchez bad. Now this is a bad season from him, sure, but
Yes.
You got to give him a little bit more of a chance. These offensive linemen, they're getting tossed around, and it's kind of embarrassing. The fact that the Vikings still roll with Drew Samia is annoying. But good news, it's another thing we can throw in this show. Looks like Pat Elflein will be back soon. So never thought we'd be clapping for that, but here we are. Back off IR? It was someone else. Can't remember.
It's Cliff. It's never Sean Mannion.
Yeah, Cliff, get out of here. It's never Sean Mannion.
I still can't believe the Vikings stick with him as a backup for Cousins when he has never thrown an NFL touchdown, and its only claim to fame is holding a clipboard for a team that went to the Super Bowl.
They want absolutely no competition for Kirk Cousins.
There's none. They want to make sure that there's nothing.
Yes.
And there isn't. There's nothing aside from that maybe an Iowa kid on the practice squad.
Yeah. They do not want the locker room to have any potential split for we want this other quarterback to play, because they know that they're financially stuck with him. So they can't bench him. They can't bench him. They can't move on from him. So they don't want anything behind him at quarterback.
And we sure saw some of that nothing at quarterback last season in week 17. Ugh.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Gold Prod. I was wondering who it was. I saw it on some Instagram Viking page. Had 2 photos, but I was like, oh my God, I've never been so excited to see Pat Elflein coming back. Oh man, this season is just putrid. But hey, you know what's cool? Skull Prod had it earlier. Now, we said this in another show in recent weeks for this season. Find a player that you really like and watch them do whatever that you hope to see them do. I'm going to be a typical Viking fan. I'm going to watch Justin Jefferson. I'm just going to root till he breaks 1,000 yards, and I hope that he catches double-digit touchdowns, just because it would be awesome to be like, oh, my God, they drafted a wide receiver. Thank God.
I've been watching Kendrick rack up the tackles, and it's been lovely.
That's it.
When you're the only guy on the team who can tackle, they're going to come your way.
Kyle, who are you gonna latch onto and watch for the rest of the season?
Oh, it's Justin Jefferson. He's the guy. He's the bright spot on this team. He's the young guy, the rookie wide receiver that's really stepped up to the plate. He's the one that we should all be excited for, because we've had a little bit of issues drafting receiver, and hey, we got one who looks like he's as advertised, and he's only going to get better with this team. So that's a really big positive.
So it's time to trade him to Dallas.
You betcha.
Well, I saw an article today. I think Coward was talking about it too. Amari Cooper should go to the Packers. And I'm like, just shut your mouth.
He should.
He should, yes. But no, he should not. That would be terrible.
Brown should have signed with Green Bay.
That's a good point. Can we go back to something that we were talking about earlier that I wouldn't have been very upset about if it happened?
Sure.
It's way too early for this, but this season's a wash anyways. Let's just throw all the hot bullshit takes out there. If the Vikings got some decent traction for the Irv Smith trade, I wouldn't be pissed if he was gone. He's been a little underwhelming so far.
He has been, but what does Kyle Rudolph really have left at the tank?
He doesn't. It's not that he wouldn't have anything left in the tank. If he would be able to take a reasonable pay cut, and which he's not going to. He's like, why would I take a pay cut? You're going to pay me. But if he would play for what he's worth, I wouldn't care. Because you know who's not going to get the ball most of the time? Irv Smith.
Do you remember when the Vikings extended Kyle Rudolph and we did the podcast and I spent like 10 minutes wondering why that happened? It's like you draft his replacement, then you keep him around.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't have your wife and your side chick. Pick one.
Well, if I'm Kyle Rudolph too, I say, hey, look, this season isn't sucked because of me. The rest of the team is trash. I caught your game-winning postseason touchdown last year. I caught a bunch of crazy one-handed catches recently in the last year or two. I'm arguing that, but
I mean, does he have 10 catches in 6 games?
Oh yeah,
it's disgusting.
It's because Justin Jefferson's catching all the balls. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying,
cat fight. That's just a warning. It's going to happen.
I love this comment so much. Game balls and donkeys for the bye week. Yeah, the entire team gets my game ball, and then all of the management gets the donkey for this week. I don't know. I have
My
no
game.
idea,
Hey,
man.
I got one for you. I can make this up. My game ball is Yannick Ngakoue for getting the hell out of Minnesota. You don't have to be. You don't got to be around this shit show no more. So you're gonna get a game ball for that one. And the donkey is gonna go to, I don't know, who can we pick on for the donkey for this week, guys?
I was going to say something that's really mean. I'm not going to do it. I can't think of it. I don't want to pick on any of the players, man. I like them too much. Even though it pisses me off, I love them. I just hate that the season's already over, man. We're finally hitting halfway this Sunday, and we're going to be 1-6. So I guess we can preview that for a little bit.
Here's what the donkey's going to go to. The donkey is going to go to COVID protocol. That's going to make Everson Griffin's first game as a Detroit Lion be against the Minnesota Vikings and this terrible offensive line where, like Adam said in our chat, Everson is going to have his game of the season.
Riley's got him.
He's going to be so motivated to play against the Vikings. He's going to have 5 sacks on Kirk Cousins.
For what? For sticking with him and while he was getting therapy and working with him and paying him all that money?
Yeah.
Man, I wish I could have grudges like that.
It's like that Adrian Peterson grudge. Like, dude, we paid you and you were on the commissioner's list that year. Come on, bro.
True. Very true.
Yeah, if you guys didn't hear that, we were talking about it in the chat, and I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where I'd give the credit to, but Twitter of some sort. But, yeah, it makes Everson Griffin getting traded to the Lions due to the COVID protocol and the timing of the trade from Dallas to Detroit. His first game back will be against Minnesota, so that's funny. I think it's in U.S. Bank. I'm positive, pretty positive. Yep. So, oh, man. Is Dalvin Cook playing Sunday? I think so. I did see him practicing. They are practicing outside in what I'm sure is freezing weather up there.
The reports are that they are optimistic.
Well, they need him. If they don't play, they don't have a shot to win this game anyways. But if he doesn't play, there's absolutely, positively no shot. So we'll see.
I will give away a little spoiler to our listeners that for the Survivor League this week, I did take the Green Bay Packers.
Why wouldn't you?
I'm going to get a little bit of hate about that, maybe from a listener or two, but you know what? I'm out there to win it.
Yeah, we told you guys this before. Adam's not going to give this away this year, so you better come to play, unlike me. Yeah.
16 teams left in the game, and 5 of us have no strikes, 5 have 1 strike, and then 6 have 2 strikes. Last week was a good week for everybody. No strikes handed out at all. So congratulations to everybody. Everybody got their picks in. Everybody was right. A couple of them were kind of close, but close calls only count in horseshoes and, other stuff.
Hand grenade. Slow dancing. Yeah. Vikings play the Packers in Green Bay Sunday. Woohoo. Aaron Rodgers looks to be on fire. Packers are very good.
Yeah, who else is very good? Mew. Mew's a very good boy. You're a good boy.
Are we ending the show early? It feels like we're close, and I'm not mad at it. There's just not a lot to go talk about.
I mean, what are we really going to preview for Green Bay? They're going to trump. Aaron Rodgers is going to tromp all over us again.
It's not even like – it's like being terrified of – let's say you're terrified of clowns, and then you go to watch it. You know you're going to piss your pants. So I already know what's going to happen. I've already seen this movie before. But I'm going to watch it anyways. Why not?
Right on.
Yeah.
And we'll be in – hopefully some of us will be in Discord during the thing, and we can chat about it.
Yeah, we're all just – we know what's going to happen. We already got this. Well, if we're done, man, we can start plugging some stuff. I'm going to go first if you guys are cool with it. You got anything else to add for the show? Because not much going on. I'm going to tell everybody to go follow this guy on Instagram. Lewis Jamie, I believe. If I messed your name up, dude, I'm sorry. But he's done a couple of personal pieces for me and my family. I do have a John Randall one that I am super proud of. Basically, you send this guy a photo of anything that you want, and he can make it into cool shit like this. And it's 3-dimensional, see? I won this in a giveaway on Instagram, but you can follow his stuff down here. That's Badass Wood Art. Actually got reposted by Alexander Madison recently, so he does have some traction with actual Minnesota Vikings, which is pretty
cool.
dope.
That's cool.
I just like to support local businesses, and I thought that was really cool that I won something for free. So Viking stuff is cool and free stuff is cool. Check this guy out if you have an Instagram account. It's really, really good work over there. Boom.
Yeah, you can check out my stuff too. I always got something cooking over at the Viking Age. Got a great team over there. I don't post over there as often as I should, but I should start getting a little bit more of a habit of getting some stuff done over there. Meanwhile, on deadwalking.com, all your Walking Dead news and information. I'm constantly putting up some stuff about who dies during each episode, reviewing episodes of World Beyond.
You could write the same articles about the Vikings. Who dies during the Vikings games?
I'm not kidding, but there have been times when I've done the the best and worst, positives and negatives from the games.
Yeah.
And I've had to write one of the positives is that no one died during the game. So
yeah,
it is a positive. It really is. I haven't been streaming much on Twitch lately, and that's another thing I got to get into again. I'd love to get over there and play some more Jackbox, or I've tried streaming from my Xbox and it just doesn't work. So it's going to have to be PC games from here on out because that's all that will stream for me for some reason. But yeah, you follow me over on Twitch and it'll notify you when I go live if you hit that notification bell, and hopefully we can play some games sometime.
That's so cool. I think it's so interesting. I see it through people's Facebook. I know you can attach other platforms. Like this is going on people's YouTube right now, even though we're using StreamYard. I think that's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
For Kyle West, I love this stuff because I bought some stuff from him recently and I wore it around. Actually, wore it out last Friday to go eat dinner. So people in San Antonio, Texas know about the Purple People podcast down here.
Which is awesome. So you can check out my artwork using the link down below on the screen. It's the gift giving season. So maybe you need a unique piece of artwork. Well, there you go. You can check it out. Give me a follow. Even if you just want to help reshare it on Twitter, social media, Facebook, it all helps out. So check it out. You might see something that you like.
If you want an Adrian Peterson shower curtain, I think you can do that.
You can do that. You can definitely do that.
I always talk about this to share because my friends here, I love what they do, and we all support each other. Kyle West has some damn good photography too.
Well, thank you.
True.
It's Kyle's camera is like Adam's article.
Oh no! Be careful there.
Uh-oh.
When you're talking about photography, don't talk about the camera. That'll get photographers really mad.
Well, that
sorry about that.
I actually really don't care.
That's a weird contention, though.
Oh yeah, some people get really mad about it.
What I should have said is Kyle and his camera are
there
like Adam and his articles. When they combine, magic stuff happens. So you have to check that out.
Because I know that I've got another photographer friend, and I asked her, what kind of camera she uses to get such great pictures, and she did not care for that question.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But at the same time, I can definitely tell you that the more I invest into higher quality lenses, the better the pictures look because you're using a better quality lens.
Right.
So that definitely does factor into it.
But a lot of the time, it's just people trying to add to the conversation and talk about something you love, and it's a little bit off-putting when someone puts you in your place for trying to be nice.
It would be like if you had a friend who's a professional chef. Oh man, your stove makes really good soup or whatever. You wouldn't be like, oh man, your stove just makes excellent fucking I love that soup that you made on your stove. It's the same kind of thing here.
Well, I kind of just did that to you unintentionally, so that's my bad. What I meant to say was, if you are watching this show and you've went 45 minutes through this nonsense, thank you. Like we mentioned before, to recap the show, Yannick Ngakoue has gone to the Ravens. We played the Packers this week.
Hope you didn't buy a jersey.
Yeah, thank God. And yeah, they played the Packers Sunday. The Vikings play in Green Bay, so 12 o'clock Central, 1 Eastern. And Adam Thielen's not going to the Browns. So
I think the only one of us that uses a fancy mic might be Mr. West.
Yeah, and I don't even have mine plugged in right now. I'm just using the one built into my headphones.
Because I have a pair of Turtle Beaches that I have. I got free when I bought my laptop about 5 or 6 years ago. And I don't know if you can see this, but I have duct tape with some metal because it broke. And that's how I keep my headset together.
So
I like it.
We are going to start a GoFundMe to get Adam Carlson a pair of headphones without duct tape.
But when I wear it like this, you can't even tell.
No.
That's true.
It looks great and it feels good on my head, and you can't even tell that I took a piece of metal and duct taped it to my headset.
Whatever works, man.
We have really awesome engineering here at the podcast. Only the best products.
Hey, for a while, I used a Rock Band microphone that I used electrical tape around the you know the drum kit. So I took the legs from the drum kit and the stand for it, and we used electrical tape and just taped a microphone around the top of it. That was like the beginning of the podcast. So
nice. Was that the Skype days?
That was the Skype days, man.
Yeah, if you want to go down a rabbit hole of what the fuck, go ahead and click on episode 30 of this show. And just dabble around there for a couple hours.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
I think there's some charm in the first episode, but I'd say shut it off as soon as we tell our stories about how we became Vikings fans.
Right.
I'd say that's about it. But yeah, speaking of that, our back catalog and everything, we are a podcast for fans, by fans. We don't bombard you with advertisements. We don't do promotions. We actually have gotten approached by a sponsor, but we did not pay attention to the email, so we missed out on that opportunity.
Well, you know what? To go ahead and dive into that just a second, we don't have to name anything, but there was one that we talked about recently, and you guys know the company, but I see a lot of people who do that, and I'm not saying that I hate it. I should be on board with it, but it just doesn't feel original. It's not like it's a hometown thing or a Minnesota thing either. And I've seen other companies and podcasts do it. So,
well, you know what? A little bit of a hint out there because it's not a product that I've used recently.
Yeah, that's a great hint.
You know what? I'm actually glad that we don't have to do that shit of being like, oh, the Vikings sucked balls this week, and then Kyle Smith has to be like, and speaking of balls, you can shave them with Manscaped.
We'll be right back to talking about how bad the Vikings suck, but let's talk about your taint hairs today with Manscaped. Yeah, let's do that. Sorry, guys. No, I'm not. Yeah, we've had that offer, and I thought it was cool just to be associated
it is cool
with the show, but
who the fuck cares?
We'll see. You know what we're sticking to? Me and Kyle West are sticking to Mountain Dew and Taco Bell, damn it, until we get a sponsor for that. We're not budging, all right? But yeah, this is where you can go and like and share and subscribe to our stuff. If you guys really want to do us a favor, if you've stuck around this long, take one or the other and share it. Copy the YouTube channel and put it on your Facebook as a status and let other people know about it. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. I have no shame in admitting it. I have to post these things. So tomorrow I'll get up and post the show. I'll go like our YouTube video just because to get the numbers up. But we appreciate it. And we're on all other platforms too. iTunes.
And we do get some cool comments on our YouTube videos. So I do appreciate you guys that do leave some comments. If you can't be here live and you watch the video later, we do read those comments. So thank you to everyone who does leave those comments. We do appreciate that.
We're everywhere, man. Everywhere.
And I love our Facebook account. I know that we don't bombard it with images and stuff, but we'll give you some information. We'll post a question every once in a while. I'll give you an update on Survival League. It's not going to infiltrate your Facebook news feed, and it's not going to be all Purple People podcast stuff. We try to not intrude upon your life as much as possible. We want to be there for you, when you want us, not when we want you.
Right.
So that's all I have for this week. I do want to thank everyone again for joining us. Be sure to check us out on Facebook. We've also got our YouTube where you can go to watch all of our videos from back in the day forever. And you can find our newer episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can imagine podcasts are. There's a chance that we're there, so it's worth a look. And I'm still surprised that we end up on Spotify somehow. So if you like Spotify, we are there too somehow. We're there.
Spotify pays for Joe Rogan, but they get us for free.
That's right. So thanks again. Please like, share, subscribe. I know that everybody says that, but we do appreciate that. And we are up to we keep getting more and more followers every now and then on YouTube, and we do notice and we do appreciate that. We used to do our YouTube follower shout out, and I've been forgetting to write down the names, so I do apologize for that. And hopefully that's something we can get back into, because I do want to recognize those who follow the podcast, and especially those that join us live. It's so much fun chatting to you guys live, and that's one of the main reasons we do this. So thanks again, and stay classy, Minnesota.